This week on Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News.
For years, it was really hard to prosecute a hate crime because to do so meant you had to prove it was fully motivated by hate.
Knowing something and proving something can be two different things.
But now with a loophole closed, is there a difference?
These people get away with it, and now this law may help them not get away with it anymore.
Today, we explore Colorado's hate crime statute and speak with those directly impacted.
Welcome to Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. I'm Denver7's Micah Smith.
And I'm Colorado Public Radio's Nathan Heffel. Each week in a partnership between Denver7 and CPR, we'll have a real talk about issues impacting underrepresented people across Colorado.
So this week we're exploring Colorado's hate crime statute. We've talked about hate crimes on this show before, but today we're digging into how a small change in state law is hoping to make a big difference in how hate crimes are prosecuted.
Now, over the last few years, hate crimes have steadily risen across Colorado. Documented hate crimes have increased, and in 2022, Axios Denver reported a 14% increase in Denver and a staggering 31% increase in Colorado Springs.
To put that into perspective, a 2022 survey by Hate Free Colorado found nearly a third of Coloradans experienced a hate crime or bias-motivated incident in a 5-year period, but only 18% reported the crime to police. And that's because stress, fear, red tape makes it so hard to prove a hate-motivated crime.
And state lawmakers saw that. So in 2021, they made a slight change in wording in hopes of making prosecution of alleged hate crimes a little easier. Under the changed statutes, you no longer have to prove that a crime was, quote, solely motivated by hate, but now in whole or in part.
So we wanted to step back and talk about how this change impacts the community. Joining us now is Lindsay Minter with Colorado's Black Lives Matter. Thank you so much for being here today, Lindsay.
Thank you for inviting me.
You were injured during the 2020 George Floyd protests in Denver, right?
Yes.
And you received a settlement
Yes.
from the city. I want to pull back a little bit and talk about when the protests and demonstrations happened. What was it like to see the entire community coming out and saying, we're not going to stand for this anymore?
Oh, it was amazing because it was a struggle at first. Elijah McClain died originally in 2019, and it was just a small selective group of us that were willing to step up and say his name to small crowds at that time. So then when George Floyd passed away, it was a universal outcry. It was like a nationwide outcry because you could see it on the TV and people could feel it and emote with it and know, that could have been their brother, their cousin, their uncle, their dad. And so we started saying Elijah McClain's name at his events as well. So then when the community came out and supported something that happened here in our own state, it was almost like a miracle because that hadn't happened before. And it invigorated the whole community. They were really like, this could just be me.
Yeah.
So I spoke at quite a few of those rallies, and I stood up and I put my body in the front lines of those marches so people would recognize that, if I can get out there and do it, they can too.
You said you put your body
Right.
in harm's way. You used your body, and I really want our viewers and listeners to know when you did that, you were shot in the face by a, quote, non-lethal round. That had major repercussions for you, and this was a police officer that shot that non-lethal round.
Yeah, I was actually disrupting some more agitated protesters and getting them to stop combating with the police that were, on scene. And we got one group to kind of chill out just a little. We weren't saying don't stand up for your rights. We weren't saying have order to your protest because you cannot police people's tears and people's emotions. Mm-hmm. But we were just saying back off because we didn't want an incident to happen. So then I turned around and I walked straight into an incident that is not under control, and a non-lethal projectile, hit me in my face, and I lost a tooth as a result.
Yeah.
I received a settlement from the city of Denver. I had to fight for that settlement though, because the way my face reacted, it swole up, but it didn't bruise. Mm-hmm. So the scan showed the bruises, and of course, the pulled tooth because it was, broken. but they thought that that wasn't quite as, important as some of the more gory injuries that happened.
And I want to talk about that proving of this, something happened to me. As people of color, we've all experienced bias or hate-motivated incidents, and the feelings are different for everyone. So from your perspective, is there an incident you can highlight that talks about maybe how you felt when someone did do something that you felt was hate-motivated or bias-motivated? Because it happens to so many people of color.
Right. Well, I've had a lot of incidents of this, but when we were out in 2020, there was a car that drove by and flashed a weapon at us. And we had to prove to the police officers that that car did, in fact, brandish the weapon outside of the car, and wave the gun. And we had to prove it to the cops. So the way that we did that is that somebody had recorded it. And that we had to have actual physical proof to say this car did this at this time. Are you going to do anything about it? And they still didn't do anything about it, but we still had to take the evidence there and prove that the incident happened.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the law
Okay.
and the change in statute we were talking about at the top of the show. For so long, prosecutors had to prove that the crime was entirely motivated by hate for it to be a hate crime, but that has now changed. Can you talk a bit about that and how you think that might change things for those experiencing incidents, maybe like the incident with the gun in the car or any other incident that we know people are experiencing?
I think that it'll make it easier for people to report it and still not feel like they have to prove and not feel like they're putting themselves in danger by even reporting it. Because there's like a fear about going to the police in general anyways in our community. And although there are people tirelessly working to bridge that gap is not bridged. But laws like this make it easier for people to be brave and be bold and cross that gap and go to the police when people call them a racial slur or do something to their yards or insult them in the Walmarts and push them and put their hands on them, call them words. We've seen it all over social media where we get the people acting outside themselves, and it's completely all about race, and these people get away with it, and now this law may help them not get away with it anymore.
Yeah.
All right, Lindsay Minter with Colorado's Black Lives Matter. Thank you so much for joining us for this Real Talk.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we are just getting started here with this Real Talk. Coming up, how one woman's experience being called a racial slur put this new statute to the test.
Stay with us. This is Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. Welcome back to Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. I'm Colorado Public Radio's Nathan Heffel.
And I'm Denver7's Micah Smith. While it's one thing to see statistics showing hate-motivated crimes are increasing across Colorado, it is another to hear the voices of those impacted directly.
In November of 2021, Melissa Hall was working as a parking lot monitor at her daughter's school in Colorado Springs. She witnessed an altercation between two women and attempted to intervene. That's when Hall, who is black, says she was called a racial slur by one of the women, who is white. Here's a bit of that altercation.
You're being recorded!
I don't care. You're just mad because I'm white and you're
Did you just call me a
you ignorant. I got you.
Disturbing.
Yeah.
Melissa reported that incident to police in December 2021 and was one of the first to test the new part of the Colorado hate crime statute that no longer had to prove that a crime was solely motivated by hate.
But that one incident set off a long journey of courtroom dates and letters of apology. Melissa Hall joins us now. Thanks you so much for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
That, for anyone, is a disturbing video to watch. You experienced that. Going back and seeing it now, how does that make you feel so many years after the incident?
Awful.
Yeah,
Awful.
yeah. And I think the fact that we're still talking about this 2 years on is a sign that there is something going on, that there is a systemic thing happening here. And how does that make you feel, that this is something that you've had to be dealing with? One incident, maybe 30 seconds, 20 seconds, is now still impacting lives to some odd years later.
Yeah, it was definitely more than 20 or 30 seconds.
Okay.
And it wasn't me just solely trying to intervene on that. There were some things that happened beforehand where she threatened to spit on me. And I really had tried to de-escalate the situation. She was talking, and I was talking to another parent. And I, had kindly said to her, "I'm sorry you're trying to talk to me. I was talking to someone else." And that was initially when she said that she would spit on me, spit on me. So that was the beginning. I think it's important to note that she proceeded to cuss out parents. She proceeded to tell, "You're gonna have to push the bleep button for this," but I think it's important to say it the way that it was said. That she told a kid that she was a ugly little girl in her ugly dress. So after these things happened, and I tried to de-escalate the situation and explain to her that I understood that she was upset, that I wanted to help her with whatever was going on, but that I could not have her using that type of language with other people's children and other people present. And that is when she became even more agitated. And at that point, I knew that I needed to call for help. And no sooner had I done that I turned around and she had another parent cornered. She had already tried to hit this person, and they had jumped up in this back parking lot area. And I turned around, and other people are coming out, and she's hitting this woman. She's physically assaulting this woman. But I thought to myself, if I don't record this, nobody's going to believe that this happened. And that's when it escalated even further to her doing the racial slurs and the cussing and even more, and trying to hit me with her car twice.
Melissa, was this person a stranger? Did you know this person?
I did not know her. She was a parent at the school picking up her children, her daughter at the time. I found out after the fact that actually our daughters were in the same classroom together. And so this behavior was something that she was teaching her children.
And Colorado Springs Police did charge this woman, Ashley Buies, with disorderly conduct and harassment. And yours was one of the first cases under this new statute, meaning if Ashley was found guilty, she could face jail time, things like that. Taking that all in must have been a whole mixed bag of feelings. But I think the question is, why is that incumbent on you to have that mixed bag of feelings? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I agree. Why is that a thing? And the only thing that I can say after all this time and really thinking about it and having to sit with it and be in those uncomfortable spaces again and again and again, was that the only piece that I had control over was being the person that I tell people that I am, with my values, my integrity, my ethics, and my morals. And so that is why I responded in the way that I responded with. And that is why, as the victim, I requested what I requested.
Yeah.
The judge in this case ordered Ashley to pay a fine, to write a letter of apology after she pled guilty. Did that happen right away? What did that timeline?
So no, that is not what initially happened. Initially, they came to me, and I had to sit for a while and think about what could we do. Is there anything that we can do to change a racist, bigoted person? That was the question that was, at that point placed before me. And if we can, how can we? And so my thing was, after a lot of prayer and a lot of reflection and just kind of sitting and kind of waiting, was that I came up with requesting restorative justice, because I figured if there was any potential for anyone to learn anything from this, especially her, right, would be restorative justice. And then what happened from that was that apparently she potentially, from what I understand, accrued some extra charges. And because of that, that made her ineligible for restorative justice. And so then there was a different type of sentencing that was put into place. I believe she was ordered to take an equity, diversity, and inclusivity training by a well-known university in Chicago.
I think throughout this I'm hearing there's still red tape here. There's still the process, there's still all of this going through, even with the change in the law. But I want to hear your thoughts on that. Because of the change in the law, it doesn't have to wholly be based on, hey, it can be now wholly or in part. Does that make a difference? And in your experience following that form of the statute, has that made it a little bit easier dealing with these type of things?
I think no matter what, it's an uncomfortable thing to be in. And I think it's good to know that it can be in part, right? That's a significant piece. It doesn't have to be wholly, because proving something, knowing something and proving something can be two different things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know this is incredibly uncomfortable to talk about and not something that you do on a regular basis. So I want to first thank you for being willing to share this story with us. I also know there are a lot of people listening and watching who may have had similar experiences, don't know what to do. Maybe they're in between wanting to report it and maybe they don't because they're so afraid of what comes next. What would you say to that person that is listening or watching right now?
Your feelings are valid. Find someone that you trust, someone that you trust or someone that you know cares about you or someone that you feel safe with. Start there. You know, talk with them about it. What is right for me may not be right for you, may not be right for you. Everybody's right is different. And this experience is not, if I would have written this out or, you know, wrote it on a, like been Shonda Rhimes and written something out, I would not have envisioned that this would have gone this way over 2 years. I really would not have.
Well, again, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Coming up, we speak to a reporter who's followed Melissa's story as a part of her podcast, Systemic.
She's been covering this statute change, and we'll talk about misdemeanor crimes and sentencing and if anything has really changed since the statute's been updated.
This is Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. Welcome back to Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. I'm Denver7's Micah Smith.
And I'm Colorado Public Radio's Nathan Heffel.
We've been speaking about hate and bias-motivated crimes across Colorado. Now we're looking into whether a statute change has made it easier to pursue hate crime charges.
And joining us now is Joe Erickson, a reporter and producer of the podcast Systemic. Joe, welcome to Real Talk.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with your podcast, Systemic. Give us a quick overview for those not familiar with it.
So Systemic looks at issues where people from the inside are trying to make some changes. So in this case, the very brave actions of Melissa is helping other people understand what bias-motivated crimes actually may mean to your community. So following these people as they go through different aspects of trying to challenge the status quo of various legislative things or just institutions and how they work.
And you followed again the case of Melissa Hall and Ashley Bouise. What were you hoping to see as this case evolved?
Hoping to see, I don't know, but I do know that in some respects justice was served. It wasn't easy justice because the way that this case continually dragged on because of Ashley's action. Initially, they decided that they were going to charge Ashley with disorderly conduct and racial slurs in an elementary school. So they were looking at those two components, and with the way the new law works now is both of those components are taken seriously. In the past, it was always the disorderly conduct because that's easy for the police to actually prove. So it starts off with a very, very good place. You're feeling like, okay, both of those elements are now going to be taken by the courts as a serious thing. Unfortunately, the offender, she used her ways to make this court case last a lot longer. So Melissa had to go time and time again to the courts to get what the judge actually ordered. So there were only 3 components that Ashley needed to actually fulfill for her judge's orders. And that was write a letter of apology, do a DEI, diversity, equity and inclusion course, and pay a fine. And those 3 things spanned out for 2 years. So what would happen is Ashley would turn up for court, she'll have some dramas where she'll be crying, the judge couldn't understand what was going on, they would reconvene, come back again, and this kept on happening.
You followed it very closely, and you spoke to Ashley directly after one of the trials or one of the case hearings, and I want to play that conversation because it is such a raw look into the mind of what was going on with that woman. Let's take a listen.
When somebody gets angry, We naturally reach for those words. You went for the N-word.
Yeah, that was the very last thing I said as I was pulling away, like pulling my car and like leaving. That was the very last thing I said to her. So that's kind of where that is. Like, everyone I've told this story, they look at me, they're like, Ashley, you don't talk like that. I'm like, I know. And I even told like my video game friends, they're like, Ashley, you don't do that. I'm like, I know. Well, and unfortunately that day, I had just gotten denied to visit my husband in prison. So on top of that emotion, it just did not go well. I probably shouldn't have been the one to pick up my daughter that day. I was not in a good mental state.
Joe, that's a lot to take in. What were you thinking during this conversation?
It was a very hard conversation. This conversation took part at the very end. So literally, this was the last time she was in court. The court dismissed all of it. She turned up, she did all the things that she needed to. The judge dismissed the case, and I then took her out, and that conversation was literally in the halls of the actual courts. And you can hear that she didn't really take any of this seriously. And that's the saddest part about it. As you could hear the laugh, I don't know how to take that. But for me, not as a journalist, but as a person of color, it was very hard to take. It was very hard to see how someone who could just leave the courtroom after dealing with 2 years of trying to resolve this issue, to come out of it with very little education.
Is this statute change going to make it easier, going to make people step forward, going to make the outcome something that will be a positive? Real talk, I mean, what do you think?
With this new statute, there's a lot of new possibilities for people to report their crimes to the police, have the confidence to know that it's now being recognized that we are not going to ignore the hate part of your crime. When you hear about the ending of this, I know people will be very disappointed, but imagine that it may actually help somebody. You know, if the judge awards this again to another offender, imagine if they actually took this on board and learned.
I think the lack of restorative justice allows the person to separate themselves from the crime. If there is restorative justice there, then you as a person are forced to understand why you committed this crime. So thank you so much, Joe. This has been a fabulous conversation. I appreciate all that you're doing with your podcast, Systemic. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts or at cpr.org. Joe, thank you so much for joining us for this Real Talk.
Thank you.
And that's this week's episode of Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News.
Have a great day.